Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. I am Monica for those of you that are new here, and thank you for showing up today. We are going to be doing one of my all-time favorite bread recipes. We're going to be making my Mama's dinner rolls. So if you have been following me since the very beginning of my channel, I shared this recipe way back when. It's awful quality, cringeworthy. Hi baby. Cringeworthy quality, and over the years I have just perfected how I make these to where they just turn out perfect every single time, no matter what type of flour you're using. Since back then all I used was all-purpose flour, and now I use hard reds, hard whites, fresh ground, you name it, I have it in my pantry. So because of that, this recipe today, just you can use any of those with this because it's very easily adaptable. So I hope you stick around. It is a very easy recipe. There are not a lot of ingredients, but it is so good, and it can be modified into different flavors if you wanted to add different flavors to this. But in all honesty, I'm a purist when it comes to this recipe. I play around with all my other recipes pretty much, but when it comes to this one, you just have to have it the way that Mama made it, and it just brings back so many memories, and it's wonderful. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get started on this dinner roll recipe. What you want to do is heat up your milk and your butter before you even mess with doing your yeast. A stick of butter in 1.5 cups of milk. I like to use whole milk, and then this is just going to go on the stove, a medium heat. We don't want it to boil. We're essentially just heating up that milk and melting the butter, and it helps everything rise better. So our milk and butter are on the stove, reaching about 110 degrees just to scald it. We're going to add 1 packet of active dry yeast, or it's about, if you have it in bulk, I use 2.5 teaspoons. 3 tablespoons of sugar to this. And then 4 cups of flour. Okay. And you also want 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, so the first thing I did before even starting this is I took 1.5 cups of whole milk and a stick of butter and just heated it up on the stove until the milk reached about 100 degrees. And then I've just been letting it sit for about, 6-7 minutes just to cool down a little bit. So now this is going to go right over top. We'll add in our 1 egg. And then go ahead and get all of this mixed together, and we're just using a whisk attachment, or you could use, my Mama always used just a hand mixer. I just don't have one. So, hand mixer or whisk attachment until you get a shaggy looking dough. Okay, now on a clean surface, this is still a wet dough. We're going to put a nice layer of flour down. And just knead it by hand for about 5 minutes, or until it comes together into a nice little dough ball. So this is the way that you want your dough to be. It's a soft dough, and if you stop working it, it'll start sticking. But you could see I was able to knead it. It's when you stop working on it. That's kind of what you want. It doesn't, you're not wanting like you're making a loaf of bread where it's shiny and it's not sticking anymore. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something like this. And you can see I didn't use all of the flour that I've put down. You just use as much as you need. Depending on the flour you're using, you may need more or less whenever you're kneading. So you just got to kind of watch it. But you can see, like, I can pick it up. It's just a nice, soft dough. It does bounce back. So that gluten structure is forming. But we're not making bread. We're making delicious rolls. So, in the same pan or bowl that I had this stuff in to mix, I'm going to throw some olive oil in there. And then move it around to make sure it has oil on all sides. Okay, once you have your oil in there, just take a dish towel and stick this in a warm spot until it doubles in size. This particular recipe, it takes closer to an hour and a half to 2 hours in my kitchen for it to double, so don't rush it. Just let it do its thing. Okay, so 10 by 15 baking dish. You can also use cast iron. I do that all the time. We have our dough that has doubled in size. So this is so easy, guys. It is so easy. I have olive oil down. You can use any oil you like. I use olive oil if I need like a neutral oil. And then you just want to deflate your dough. Make sure you can see me. And then, there, that might be better. You just want to take a little ball, like the size of a golf ball. Make yourself a little dough ball and stick it in your pan. That is all you're doing. One of the things my mama would always do when she was making them, she'd always get oil all over them. I don't know if that's necessarily how it needs to be done, but I usually just do it too, just because that's how she did it. I honestly don't even know if you need to have the oil down in the bottom of the pan, but that's what I do because that's how I grew up with her making rolls. So once you get all of your dough balls made, this is kind of how you do it. It doesn't matter if they're touching or not touching, they're going to rise regardless. I like for this particular dinner, I don't mind if they're touching and they can all grow together and rise again, be touching each other, tear apart type dinner roll. You'll see what I mean. It's not going to be like a Texas Roadhouse where it's an individual roll, and you'll see that if you don't know what I'm saying. I'm going to cover it back up and let it go for 45 minutes to an hour, just until we see that they've pretty much doubled in size again. And then you want probably about 10-15 minutes prior to them being fully risen, so you'll be able to see, oh, they're almost there. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees so that that'll be ready for whenever we bake these off. Okay, so these have doubled in size. As you can see, everything's nice and puffy. So these are going to go in the 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes. What I like to do is I put them on the bottom rack first. Yep, and then I put them on the top rack at the end just to get everything a nice golden brown. And then have a stick of butter ready, and we will butter the tops as soon as they come out. Here they are right out of the oven. Got my butter, and you just want to lather all of them up. This is a step you do not want to skip. Okay, so there is that, and then you can see where they've all kind of melded together. That is what you want. I will show you how easy it is and satisfying it is to tear these apart and consume them. But I like to let them sit for about 10 minutes just to get to a temperature that you can actually handle them. So I'll bring you back in a few. Okay, so you can see I already popped one out, but I'll show you how easy it is. They're really hot. But they just tear right apart, and you can see how soft. Oh, these are so good. And they don't have to be just dinner rolls. You can use these as slider buns, pulled pork. There it is. These are just marvelous. Tonight we're actually having them with country fried steak and all the fixings because my husband's been out all day working and I wanted him to have a treat since he's been out in the rain all day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you try these out for yourself. They are so good and worth the time and effort to make them. Until next time.